This week on the Rutledge Perspective, I want to talk to you a little bit about community. And I've been thinking about all of you a lot lately, each of you a lot lately. And each person that I talk to, I've had some really great interactions with folks through the 5-day alignment series and the masterclass. And I'm certain I'll have some more through the group cohort for the Empowered Action Academy. But in each of those conversations, there's something that comes out where someone has been watching or following or listening. And it got me to really thinking about community. And you guys know how I feel about words and what words mean and really being in action and being purposeful about things. And I'm a part of a couple of communities, a few communities actually. And in particular, I'm in a travel community on Mighty Networks, which is community building, and the Black Podcasters Association on Mighty Networks, which is community building. I am started my own on both of those, or about to start my own on both of those, but also pursuing or looking at a different platform called Heartbeat, I think it is, which is for community building. And I don't know about you, but I've never been one that's a big, got to get all these followers, got to get all this stuff done. And I'm doing some more stuff in Pinterest not because I want a bunch of followers, but because the ability to reach people, because Pinterest is now changed, right? Now it's a search engine and not just the DIY. Because I don't know about you, but I have to limit my time on Pinterest or I will be there for days looking at stuff. But this idea of community and each of you in community really struck me. And it struck me for several reasons. One, as you guys know, I went to a podcast festival in Atlanta, and the guest I had on the radio show this week also was there. That's where I met her and where we connected. And she's built a community here in Houston, the Us Space. She's built several communities actually, but she's built the Us Space that we talked about in particular, that is really all about uplifting women and creating spaces for women to grow their businesses, grow their communities, etc. Women-owned businesses, women-centered businesses, and women-led teams. So there are some men in there, right? But it is women-centered. So she's building communities. And when you talk to people at podcast fests and other places, they talk about communities and building communities. You don't hear people talking as much about followers and stuff anymore, although you still have people asking about that and thinking about your followers. And when I think about the radio show, and those of you who listen to that and tune into the radio show, and those of you who tune into the podcast, those who I've never even met yet, and I'm so excited to do so at some point, it's all about building a connection and a community. And we have Empowerment Village. My producer helped build Empowerment Village, and so we are co-owners of that, or co-founders of Empowerment Village on Facebook, our Facebook group that's all about, again, positivity, uplifting women, building a community of folks who are really about positivity, truth, honesty, right? But also uplifting. And it's these communities that begin to give us safe spaces, but that also hold us accountable. And that, to me, when I think about these words and what building community means, that's the piece that I think is missing. I have a village, and you guys hear me talk about my village all the time, and I love my village. And my village has little neighborhoods, right? So there's my really, really tight village, the ones that you can walk to, and then there's the folks on the suburbs. And the village, though, is my grounding. That's my anchor, is my village. My Friends for Life, my Fabulous Five, my sister circle. This is my village, my family. That's my village. And yet the community is broader than that, but still connected. And when you're in a community, when you're in a village, people in your village know you really, really well. They're connected to you. They love you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's your village. There are people in your village who are going to just be down. They are your ride or die no matter what. And there are folks in your village who are going to be positive about everything just because they love you. And then there are those in your village who are also going to be like, that makes no sense, and you should know better in your village. And you need all of that. You need people who are going to lift you up, but you also know people who are going to call you on your own stuff. That's what a village is for. But when I look at communities, while there's some of that in communities, communities seem to be built for a greater purpose. And so when I think about the communities that I'm in, and I think about building a community for you, it's about how do we connect in a way that's bigger. So when I think about the communities that I'm in, yes, we are there and we are present, And we are learning, we are gaining something from the community. But the other piece is that you are an active contributor to the community. Not only are you learning, but you are giving. You are giving. You're giving of time. You're giving of resources. You're giving of whatever knowledge that you had. When I came back from the Black Podfest, I started posting in the community and saying, hey, here's what I learned, and here's who I know, and here's what came up to me. Maybe you guys know this already, but it was new to me, so I'm sharing it. It's that ability to continue to lift each other up, right? Each one teach one, each one reach one. That's community. And so when my guest talked about building the us space, this women-centered, women-owned businesses, women-led teams, it's about creating those spaces for us to begin to build community. When I think about an organization called The Gathering Spot, it's the same thing. It's about building a community of CEOs and entrepreneurs and executives and folks who are really trying to build up something. And when we say community, we often think of marginalized communities or just Black and brown communities or the Asian community. We try to segregate a community. And there is some validity in that. There are some cultural alliances or cultural norms within communities, certain communities that are linked by race or gender or sexual orientation. There are community norms for sure. And when you think about community, those communities can also be built around common interests. They can be built around a common goal of uplifting and building and moving and giving and serving. And when you are serving, that ability to be in a community and really get even more out of the community because you're serving is exponential, because communities are built around that common connection. They're built around everyone lifting everyone else up. And so for those of you who are like me and like my guest this week, introverted at our core. So we are professionally extroverted. We go out and we do stuff because we're supposed to do it. And it's not that we just hate people, although I don't just love people. That's just, y'all know me by now, right? It can drain my energy very quickly to just be on all the time. I get my energy by that solitude or those really, really small, tight circles. And yet I love serving. I love being out there and doing video and speaking to people and big groups and serving. I love that. I just have to manage my energy around that. And the challenge is for those of us who are introverts and empaths and absorb that energy, sometimes we will shy away from community. We will shy away from being connected in those bigger spaces because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to be engaged and to be able to show up as you are and who you are to serve that community and have that community serve you. And so I charge you this week with thinking about community a little bit differently. You have your village or your tribe or your posse, whatever you call it that works for you. Community and community building is about service. Community building is about presence and action and activity that is beyond and bigger and broader and outside of you. And because that's the focus, your return is also deep and wide. When I brought all this stuff back to the Black Podcasters Association, I was so excited to share this information. And some of them, they were like, oh yeah, we saw that. And have you heard of this one? I mean, it like starts a trigger of communication and learning. And then I just have to manage oh my God, now I got more stuff I got to learn, more stuff I want to do. I have to manage all that mess. But that whole idea of being able to serve and then getting served back simply because you started out with just wanting to give. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It can just be one piece of information. And don't get me wrong, I love giving things away. My 5-day alignment series is free for a reason. My masterclass is free for a reason. That deeper work, that's work though, that has an investment in it because I've invested. I've invested in me and my experience and my skills and the value that I'm delivering to you that I have proven, I've got the receipts for. There's an investment in that. But I have no issue giving away to the community because I understand what the investment is and I understand the serving and I understand building. And so as I've been moving forward, I was thinking very clearly of all of you. Because when I see all these communities jumping up and all these communities starting, I think it's important for you to continue to be discerning. Is the community going to become the new word for the followers? Is the community going to become the new word for the Facebook group? Is the community going to become the new word for the thing that's not really authentic? It's only for the purpose of selling. Like LinkedIn is becoming a quagmire of just really, really ugly sales stuff. Just sleazy, snake oily. I'll get off my rant, but that's a problem. As opposed to building connections, connecting professionally, building an understanding and a network of folks that you know and recognize and understand. And there's a way to do all of that. You know, I had someone reach out to me the other day, and I reached back to her and said, you know what? I am absolutely going to connect with you because you, in your note to me, one, it was directly to me. It wasn't one of those just spam messages. It was directly to me. But you actually said, hey, here's what I do and I would love to help. If you're interested, would love to connect. I'm all about that. I didn't need their services, but because this person was authentic and showed me who they were in the beginning, their integrity showed in the beginning, I am so willing to connect with them. And they are now on my list of folks. If I think of something that I need, now I've got someone that has reached out to me, I've got a connection with, I will likely go to at least to start. Community building is about connection. Community building is about service first. What are you giving to the community? Is there something about it that is aligned with your value system, right? Is it literacy? Is it health? Is it financial wellness? Is it access to education? What is your thing? What is the reason you are joining a community or the reason you are building a community? You know, my guest really wanting to focus on women-owned, women-centered, women-led, creating spaces that are uplifting, because that community, especially Black women, when we get together and are lifting people up, there is power in that room. You know, you've heard me and my guest, Akira Rennell, does the same thing. She's like, when I eat, I want everyone else at my table to eat. It's about serving all. That's what community is about. And so as you go into this week and as you finish the rest of this year, don't get caught up in just the word, right? We're going to build a community. Make sure you've got a community. Build something that means something to you, because in meaning something to you, it will mean something to people that will be attracted to it. Go find one that's already there. You don't have to build from scratch. Go join a community. Go help the community get bigger and broader and better. Bring all of you to something that matters to you, because we need you. I need you. I need these people that I'm running into. When I allow myself to get past the, oh, this is going to take all my energy, and just go, every single time, something happens or I meet someone that was an intended divine connection. So I encourage you to do the same thing. And I encourage you to look for communities that matter to you. And one of those is my empowerment village. So feel free to join my empowerment village, mostly focused on women. We have a few men who are in there, but it's all about positivity and being uplifted and being supported. It's on Facebook, Empowerment Village on Facebook. And you'll see me and my co-founder, Jenny Keeler, who are doing that. And we're going to do a fireside show on tomorrow, Thursday, the 23rd of June. So you'll be able to catch the replay if you're listening to this post show. You'll be able to catch the replay on Fireside. So find your community, find the thing that lifts you up, that also challenges you, that pushes you forward, that gives you joy, that gets at that grounding, that thing that really feeds you, and go contribute. Go jump full energy, both feet, dive full in, and you will not be disappointed in what you get out from that. Thank you so much for listening to the Rutledge Perspective. Thank you for being a part of my community. Those of you I know and those of you I don't know. Those who show up every week and I see your name and I know your name now, and those who I have yet to meet. And I'm really excited to meet you. And I'm going to be doing some on the road things hopefully here soon, and we'll be able to check in and see many of you and meet you face to face. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I appreciate all of your comments. Please do me a favor and like and download and review and share this podcast. This is now episode 133, so there's plenty out there. And please send me a note, send me a DM on social media. I'm either at Laurel K. Rutledge or at The Rutledge Perspective on social media platforms. And you can find me everywhere if you just go to my website, laurelrutledge.com. And I would love to meet you. The Empowered Action Academy applications are opening today, so maybe that would be something that makes sense for you for that 3-month program. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Let me know what communities you're joining. I might need to jump into some of those myself. Take care. Go out and do something great. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Rutledge Perspective podcast. Thank you so much for downloading and for connecting. You can find previous episodes of the podcast on my website at laurelrutledge.com/podcast. You can also find me on social media at Laurel K. Rutledge and or The Rutledge Perspective. And I'd love your perspective on the things we talk about. And if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, just let me know. And please share this podcast with someone in your village who may need this little piece of perspective today. And if you're so inclined, I would really appreciate a 5-star rating and review on the platform of your choice. Apple Podcasts and Spotify reviews are particularly helpful. Thank you again for listening. Take care.